Hey everybody, so this is Attilio. We're doing our Friday live. So happy Aloha Friday today. And Adrian, who is our guest for today?
So our guest graduated from University of Hawaii with a degree in education and was a high school math teacher for 16 years until her own family's experience led her on a mission to educate others about reverse mortgages. Since 2007, Wendy has been focused on educating Kapuna, their ohana, and professionals about reverse mortgage programs. Currently, the branch manager and a certified reverse mortgage professional for Mutual of Omaha Reverse Mortgage. Welcome back, our guest, Wendy Oshiro.
Yeah. Thanks for having me back.
Yes.
Yeah, we've done this. I don't know if we did it. Have we done this more than 2 times with you, or?
Yeah, I think you had my daughter on as well.
That's right.
Yeah, and then you're in the intro video too, so that's going back.
Thank you.
Okay, Saturday Night Live guest that comes on again and again and again. So that's good because we got to get the word out. A lot of times people, and with these, these are about the length of a TED Talk. So they're 20 minutes, and our viewers are like, get to it. When you're watching stuff, you're like, get to it. So right off the bat, tell our viewers. I'll go two questions. Adrian will remind you of the second one, but the first one is tell us what a reverse mortgage is, and then on the second one, Adrian will remind you, tell us how you got into that business. But go ahead.
All right. So a reverse mortgage is a special loan for seniors where they are allowed to tap into a portion of the equity in their home. And as long as they're living in their home, they don't have to make a principal or interest payment back to the lender. So what this can do for them is increase their cash flow and make retirement a lot better for them. And then the second question was why I got into this. Okay, so I'll try to make it short. It really is my why for why I do this. It's my family. And what happened with my mom and my dad is they lost their independence. And I refused to learn about all of their options, namely the reverse mortgage. And so I ended up selling their house, making an uninformed decision. And then my dad fell into depression. And it was after I did that I learned about how the reverse mortgage worked. And it was too late because I already sold their house. And so what it taught me is that we really, as powers of attorney or successor trustees, where we're entrusted with the welfare of a loved one, we really do have to consider all options when we are making decisions that affect their quality of life. And so that's my passion. That's why I educate. I'm here to help share with the community about this misunderstood option so that they can really make sure that they've looked at everything possible to ensure their loved ones, their elderly loved ones, have the quality of life that they deserve.
Awesome.
So Wendy, when you say seniors, can you give us those kind of requirements, like age requirements, income requirements? What kind of
give us the top 3 requirements.
What do we need to know?
Top 3 requirements.
So when I talk to someone who calls me, I usually ask, how old are you? Because you need to be at least 62 for the FHA insured reverse mortgage program, or 55 right now if you're going for a jumbo loan. And then the next thing I ask, of course, is, are you on title to your property and do you live there? Because you must own and occupy your home. And then I ask for other details, like if it's in a trust, who they live with, is there anybody else on title? Just, of course, after just kind of, actually, that's kind of like the second and third things I ask. The first thing is what has you looking into a reverse mortgage? I think that's the most important thing, because we have to, they have to decide if this is a suitable solution for whatever their goals are. And my job as a reverse mortgage professional is to give them that information they need to make those informed decisions.
Yeah.
So Wendy, what are like the biggest myths that are out there about reverse mortgages?
Well, start off with the number 1 myth.
Yes.
That the lender is going to take your house, like they take title to your home. You won't own it anymore, which is totally false. It's basically like when you get a regular mortgage, how the lender will place a lien on your property because it serves as their collateral.
Yeah.
But you still own it, right? You still must pay your property taxes and your homeowner's insurance. Just with a reverse mortgage, it's the same way. You must maintain your home. And you decide what happens to your house. You can sell the house at any time, pay back the reverse mortgage lender, take the proceeds with you. If you decide that you want to stay there forever, then your kids or your heirs can inherit the home. It never goes to the lender. The only time you're in danger of foreclosure is if you fail to pay your property taxes, homeowners insurance, and take care of your house.
Let's talk about that, because we've actually had a client,
situation.
One of the biggest tips that we're going to give people to that, being reminded of that situation, is that, we all hope that we keep our lucidity and sharpness all the way till we go into the ground, right? That's a wish.
Mm-hmm.
But we know that as we age, actually, I've been reading up on this. Americans don't die of old age. We die of diseases, Parkinson's disease, Alzheimer's, all of these diseases, heart disease, all of these things. So we can actually live quite long if we can just take care of that aspect of it. But back to the topic at hand, we know that our mental acuity starts declining. And it's almost like a reverse. Our parents take care of us when we're children. And then our parents become childlike, and then we got to go take care of them.
Right.
So one of the biggest tips that we give people is to, if the parents are okay with it, make sure that you're a signer or you have access to the online accounts or portals for the property tax, the insurance, because we just had a client that, and here's the way that they found out that dad was getting foreclosed on. Did you know how they found out? They went to his house and they were visiting with him, and they're like, Dad, what's all this unopened mail? And they start opening up the mail and start seeing foreclosure notices. So thank goodness that they had done that, because it was with enough time. And you're talking like it was.
And Wendy jumped in to help and advise. So thank you very much for educating, that family on what the next steps need to be done to reinstate that loan.
So I would pass on to you, Wendy, with our experience with that, is remind the children to get on access to these accounts for the property tax, the insurance, and check in every once in a while, or set up some kind of alerts.
Or an auto pay or something.
Or an auto pay, and help manage that so that they can even have more peace of mind, right?
Well, not only that, in this particular situation, I believe you're talking about, the family didn't have the right information about the father's situation. And so he was behind in his homeowner's insurance premiums.
Yes.
And then a company came along that said they could help, but they knew nothing about reverse mortgages. But the family decided to rely on this company to help them out of a tight spot, because they promised that they could help them pay less money to the lender, because the lender had gotten forced place insurance, which is really expensive. And so that was bad advice, really, really bad advice. And they kept on with this advice for about, I think it was about 4 months before you folks brought me into the picture. So thank goodness for that, because if you didn't, they would have been foreclosed on. So what I had to do was get them to get the facts, talk to the attorneys, and acknowledge that they didn't understand their responsibility completely as a borrower for the loan. And then now I'm happy to say that they're keeping their house. They're making arrangements to So that was
one of the things that we tell the clients out there, if you have people that are in that situation, Adrian and I spent an hour meeting with the son and the daughter-in-law, and then we check in with them every week. We don't make any money. There's no benefit to us to do that. It's just we've personally been involved in helping over 350 families since 2006 avoid foreclosure. Awesome. And whether it's a forward mortgage or reverse mortgage, there are things within the mortgage document that state that you need to do this, and if you don't, then the foreclosure action is what's triggered, and it's actually called a lawsuit. So if you ever want to check on the parents, I'll give you the quick tip that's the easy one to do. You go to honolulupropertytax.com, you punch in the address, and then you look up the tax records for that property, and you're going to look for two words, les pendens, and that's Latin for lawsuit pending. It could be for other lawsuits like a mechanics lien or things like that, but most likely what we found in 98% of the time, it just means they're in foreclosure. Then you go visit mom and dad and you go find out what's going on and go open up their mail.
For sure. Yeah.
So yes, so with this reverse mortgage, I think like a nice way that I like to explain it to people is like, if you're retired and you don't have the income to qualify for like a home equity line of credit, the reverse mortgage, provides income, right, on a monthly basis to help you with your living expenses.
And cash out. Give us an example of like numbers, like how much the home is worth, what they owed on it, and what they were like, what a client was able to do with that without telling us the client's name. But just give us the numbers so we can see that.
Well, numbers right now are hard. The numbers are tied to interest rates.
Yeah.
And age, of course, of the borrower. So I would say, before people were saying, oh, you get 50%. And that was basically for the youngest 62-year-old borrower. Now it's a lot more conservative because the interest rates are pretty high. The higher the interest rate, the lower the LTV. So I would say check with me. Because every age, like 62, 63, 64, it's all different. The LTVs are all different. So right now, let me tell you this. Like if somebody wanted to purchase a home using a reverse mortgage, and yes, that's possible. Even if you're renting, whatever cash you have, the reverse mortgage will enable you to buy a third more house. So yeah, a third more, and that's significant. So, if you say for some people, like especially this has been going on a lot in the last few months where we have people on the mainland who want to buy a home in Hawaii. You know how the weather is all crazy on the mainland and they want better weather. And so they also want to return home. I've had 5 inquiries in the last couple of months of retirees wanting to come back to Hawaii. So they have like a lump sum, maybe 500,000. And normally that would be like, wow, great, but, they want to move to places like Kahala or, whatever, places that are a lot more expensive. So the reverse mortgage can help them by giving about, let's say, a third more for a 60-something-year-old, buy more house to help them to, and not have to worry about a mortgage payment after that, as long as they live there and pay their property taxes and homeowners insurance, So,
Wendy, you had shared an example of a client that had recently done that. Like they had reached out to you, and maybe you could just provide that example. I know the interest rates are different now from maybe when that happened, but just to put things into perspective for people that are maybe of age to do this strategy.
Yeah. So some time ago, there was a mainland, a retiree on the mainland who wanted to move to Hawaii, and she had $700,000. And she instructed the realtor to find her a place in Kahala. So that was rough. And then they found out, they went online and they did some research and they found out about reverse for purchase. So they called me and they asked me how it worked. So I explained it to them and I said, with a $700,000 down payment, you can afford a $1.1 million purchase. And so that opened up their options greatly, and so they're very pleased to be able to find a place that fit the bill for them, but it was possible through the reverse mortgage. And the reverse mortgage, they didn't have a reverse mortgage. So obviously the reverse mortgage is going to be on the new house. So the requirement is that they move in within 60 days of the close of the transaction. So they got to occupy the house. It is an owner-occupant loan. So they have 60 days to occupy. And then as long as they pay all their property charges on time and maintain the home, they do not have to pay any principal or interest payments to the lender. So that saves a lot of money. If you were to compare it to getting a $400,000 regular mortgage, that you have to make payments on every month. That would have made it impossible for her on her income to get it.
So with this particular client, though, they were looking before just for a cash purchase because
Yes.
they didn't have any like income to qualify.
So if
No, they did have income to qualify, but it would have been really tight, and when you get older, when you're older, it's just scary because your needs increase, right? Maybe prescription medications or services in the home, it gets more expensive. But when you're on a fixed income, you really have to think about that. Can you afford to live there?
But so they had 700,000. So
they bought for 1.1.
The reverse mortgage got them to above $1 million, and then they have, but it's because they had a lot of cash. Because let's talk about the nuts and bolts of a reverse mortgage. For example, if you have the age requirement, they're not going to give you a reverse mortgage if you have no equity in the home. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And then with this particular case, they had no mortgage, but were they getting like a monthly like allowance, or not with this particular?
No. So when you do the purchase, it's a different
different terms.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
So most, I actually have a list for you. Can I just read it off? I went through my most recent loans and I looked for the reasons why people were getting a reverse mortgage. So we had one that needed $50,000 to do repairs on the house and also get care for mom in the home. There was one who needed about $2 million because that's what the jumbo can do for some people. I'll give them over $1 million. So they just needed money to finance their goals, medical bills. I had one that 100-year-old author who wanted money for travel because she still does book signings. Nice. Wow. That's so cute. We have some who want to supplement their income. One just wanted to retire, but they couldn't on their present income, to be independent of their kids because they were relying on their kids to pay for stuff. So I bet the kids were happy too. So now they could be financially independent. Of course, the home purchase, long-term care, buyout siblings, and buyout an ex. So divorce, unfortunately, is more common. And people are looking at the reverse to help keep one in the home, maybe, or even if they split and they have to divide the proceeds from the sale of the house, they each can go and buy their own place using a reverse mortgage if they're of age, right? So those are some of the reasons.
Seems like the common theme, though, is just the one theme, which is we want to stay in our home. I know that's for you personally what you learned about with your dad is that you think about it, we live all our lives and we have this comfort zone, and that comfort zone is our house, and we want to be able to stay in it. Talk about the kids. Are most of the kids, because I think a lot of perception that the kids have is that there goes our inheritance. Mom and dad's doing a reverse mortgage. Let's talk about that.
That's why it's so important to get the kids involved, especially if they're decision makers in what you do. Of course, some of our borrowers don't want to get their kids involved. They want to make their own decisions, and that's fine. But we always encourage them to bring in their families because we've had several occasions where the kids came in and stopped their parents from getting a reverse mortgage, but also didn't have a plan for the parents to be able to live in their home. And so, it's sad to hear that they had to end up selling it. I mean, that the kids were just thinking about their inheritance, but in the end they lost it anyway because the parents had to sell and they had to go move somewhere else and use the money to rent or to buy something smaller. So my education is always the best thing for everyone involved.
Yeah.
So, Wendy, I would say as we wrap things up, I know that you are an absolute specialist in this reverse mortgage process. If someone's watching and maybe they're not located in Hawaii, maybe they're somewhere else, can you help people all over the United States or just specifically in Hawaii?
Just Hawaii.
Okay,
just Hawaii. I love Kupuna. I love my home. So I focus here.
Yeah, so the licensing and regulation, all that, it's just Hawaii. And the reason why Adrian's asking that, because we know people watch the show from all over the place.
And people may have questions, and they want to do a reverse mortgage where they're at. So I know that
Right.
you work for like a big company, perhaps.
Can refer them to somebody
You have
else.
other
Oh, I
connections.
can. I've been doing this for 16 years, so I have friends all over the country who do this.
Yeah.
So no problem.
Mutual
Happy to
Omaha. I
do it.
remember them on the weekends. I watched the Animal Kingdom.
Yeah, right.
The
Always clear to that.
and then so for people on the outer islands, you can help them
Mhm.
because everything can be done via phone and
And
we've learned
Zoom.
from the pandemic. Everything
Yes.
can be done via Zoom and phone
Yeah.
calls and electronic.
I think we're gonna travel out now, though. Now that
Yeah.
things are better. We normally close our loans in person because it's
Okay.
important to go over all the docs and make sure people understand things. So
Yeah.
yeah.
But just in case you do have the capability, because some people are still COVID cautious and
Mhm. Yeah.
we've never given anybody COVID over the Zoom,
Yep.
and even mobile notaries, if they mobile notaries and stuff are pretty good because we've been able to close transactions all over the state of Hawaii. So that's it. Any question we should have asked you before we wrap it up?
Any other question? No, I think you got it. It was good. Thank you.
All right.
Well, we're excited to have you on our radio show tomorrow. And thanks for coming back and reminding all of our viewers about these important facts about reverse mortgages.
Busting the myths regarding reverse
Yes.
mortgages. If anything, you still have questions and you're watching this,
Contact Wendy.
Wendy, you charge like $1,000 for a 1-hour consultation, right?
No, totally free, my dear. Don't spread rumors.
No, I say that because it grabs people's attention. What? It's $1,000? No, it's free because they think it is costs you something.
And she's very responsive. I've sent multiple people her way, and some of them, work out, and like that makes sense. And Wendy will be the first one to say if it doesn't make sense.
All right.
So give her a call.
All right, Sheen, take us
out,
Sheen. Take us on. I don't say take us out. Take us on.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.